Let's record. Okay, hi, this is a session on karma. Now, we all have heard about the law of karma, it is whatever we do and whatever our aura contains, this is what we radiate. And that produces our circumstances. And whatever we have done in the past comes for us to learn the lesson. And once we learn the lesson, then the karma stops. I'm not going to lecture about karma. I just want to tell you about the Eightfold Path. This is the way in which we can, according to the Lord Buddha, this is the way in which we can neutralize karma. We have to have, it's the fourth, the Eightfold Path is the fourth of the Four Noble Truths. There is suffering. This is based on craving, desire, attachment. The ending of the suffering can be attained by eliminating craving, desire, and attachment. And the Eightfold Path is the means to this end of ending the suffering. And the Eightfold Path is 8 things. It is, you have to have right view, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi, right meditation. All right. So this is about the Eightfold Path. But beyond that, there is Arithmosophy, and Arithmosophy is an ancient spiritual science taught by Pythagoras. If I only start to tell you who Pythagoras was, it will take me just an hour to describe a general summary of what he brought to the world. Pythagoras was, I will just say this though, because I cannot do this now, it's another seminar. Pythagoras was the greatest spiritual guru of his time, all right? He came a century after the Lord Buddha, and he taught the Eightfold Path, and he taught the law of karma. He brought monotheism, that there is one God, and he taught inner reflection. He taught purification as a means to union with the soul. He was a great spiritual teacher, and he brought the numbers, mathematics, and he said that mathematics have 3 levels. The first level is the level where mathematics serves just to measure distances and to see weight, to have temperature, etc. Then there's a higher level, that's a physical level, right? Then there's a higher level. The higher level is where numbers acquire meaning, and they can show us the divine plan for us. They can show us what we're here for, what we're here to do. And then there is the third level, that is the highest level, that shows the highest interpretation of numbers. Like, for example, number 1 is the male principle, the divine light, that is then number 2 is the female, and then, when God, the divine power, penetrates, the female dark matter, then there is, light, which is the sun. So this is the highest aspect of the numbers, from 1 to 9. Every number has enormous amount of meaning and interpretations that are divine. So we're going to go into the second level, right? Where we are looking for our purpose. And one way to find our purpose is to find not only what we are here to do, not only what is our soul's mission, but also what it is that we need to cultivate in order to neutralize our negative karma. And this is very easy to find. I have a program called Know Your Purpose and Bloom. In that program, there are these nine workshops. And one workshop, we have the life cycles. In the life cycles, we can see all the positive forces at each cycle of our life. We have 4 major life cycles. And we can see also the challenges and how to neutralize them. These show that the karma, the negative forces that come and that which we need to cultivate during those cycles. And sometimes these are different numbers, but sometimes you see the same number coming up for 2 or 3 cycles. So this is the main thing we need to cultivate. Usually, what is missing, what we will learn today, makes sense, resonates, and usually it's the same number as in that session. But if it is not, then we have to take into account that as well, which we will not teach today. But today we will see what is missing from our destiny number. I don't like the word destiny number because it sounds like superstitious, it sounds, but it's true. We do have a destiny. There are name makers in the higher planes before we are born who give us our name. And by our name, we may know everything about our life path and our life plan. And destiny number is the total of the values of the letters of our full name at birth in our birth certificate. That's our destiny number, right? If we calculate that and we bring it to a single digit, that is our destiny number. Now, I will show you the correlations of numbers to, it's a very simple tables to the alphabet, and you can take a screenshot if you want, and then you can calculate your name and know your destiny number. You will not know what it means, but it's okay. But you can go to my YouTube, Esoteric Arithmosophy by Evita Myriam, and see what it means in the life path. And then you will understand more or less the qualities of each number. There is the first video that I have posted there is about the meaning of the numbers. But in the destiny area, you can see what you're here to do. Like, for example, what is your field of work, right? And we can find out really a lot about ourselves through our name. So today's seminar is in today's workshop, we're going to find out what number is missing from our name. That is our karmic number, because in reality, all goodness is a matter of balance. If you see in all our workshops, whatever we do, whether it's the Pythagoras arrows, whether it is our life path number, whatever it is, every number is good, but when it comes into excess, then it becomes a negative. So it's like, for example, everybody's having their cameras off. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't mind. I can feel you there. Thank you, Brenda. All right. So what was I saying? Yeah. So in any case, today we're going to see what is missing, because as I was saying, that we need balance. For example, there is the Pythagoras arrow. That is one of the things that we learn in arithmosophy. Our Pythagoras arrow, which shows our character. For example, if you have a Pythagoras arrow that is persistence, perseverance, there's 159. That is really an arrow that helps people persevere. Master Choa had it, 2 masters, the Mendozas, they have it, and a very good friend and instructor of pranic healing also has it, and many pranic healers have it, because they persevere, they persist, So that success, let's say, arrow, what it does, it doesn't give up. It bounces back easily from any failure, and it doesn't give up. It sets a goal and it manifests, it succeeds. But in excess, what happens, it clings to projects and people. It doesn't let go. So it is good to drive on and try to succeed, but you have to learn also to let go of things that don't work, right? So you see how something very positive can turn into negative. Like a number 1 is an innovative, powerful, but can become tyrannical if it's too forceful. And number 2 is very feminine, very sweet, but it can become excessively submissive, etc., etc. So every number has its own properties and qualities. And 1 and 2 are very easy examples to remember, but every number is as distinct and individual, unique as 1 and 2. And of course, 1 and 2 have many definitions and interpretations. So let's go to our workshop. Now we're going to find our karmic number through what is missing from our name. So I'm going to show you now the tables of correspondences. These are the tables. You can take a screenshot and, of that, and you can learn, you can see to know, the correlations, the correspondences between letters and the alphabet and numbers. And now I want you to write down your full name. Here's an example, Mary Smith. Write down your full name at birth in your birth certificate. If you have a middle name, please add your middle name. If you're Hispanic and you have 100 names, just think, which are the ones that are in your birth certificate? I've learned about Hispanic names. Not every name is in the birth certificate. If you're Indian and you have one name only in the birth certificate, that is what counts. But I think perhaps you can also look at your surname. And I mean, add your surname. And put your name as it is in your ID, let's say, in your passport. And I want you to write down under each letter of your name the corresponding value, right? You see the values, right? 1 is AJS, 2 is BKT, 3 is CLU, 4 MV is 4, etc. So I want you to write down under every letter of your name, because you may make a mistake otherwise. Just follow the simple instructions, as Master used to say. Just write down your name, and under each letter, write down the value of the letter. All right? And then once you've done that, I want you to go 1. Do I have a 1? Check. Yes. Do I have a 2? Perhaps yes or no, right? If you don't have a 2 in anywhere, just write down in the side 2. Then do I have a 3, etc. Do I have a 4? Check one by one all the 9 letters and see what is missing. You may have more than one number missing. Now, if you're married, you don't calculate your husband's name, right? You calculate only your name at birth. When we get married, our husband's name is very important. It changes it gives an added value, an added karma. We also take the karma of our husband. Not the karma, but in a way, we take something, right? Okay, wait. Okay, so someone just entered. I will repeat. This is the tables of correspondences. I don't know if they can hear yet, though. Wait, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, all right, great. So this is the table of correspondences. Right, what you need to do, you can take a screenshot if you like, right? And so you know it, but it's very simple. It just goes, linearly like this from 1 to 9. So I want you to write down your full name at birth, at your birth certificate, not your married name, your full name. If you have a middle name, put the middle name as well. And then under each letter of your name, I want you to write down, the others have done it, so I want you to hurry up a bit. So you just write down your full name and write down the number that corresponds under each letter, okay? And then I want you to see if you have number 1, if you have number 2, if you have number 3, until you find out which letters are missing from your name. All right? Take a screenshot so we can move. And, okay, have you done it? All right. Do you want to say something? All right, wait, let me see in the chat.
I took the screenshot. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, so let me tell you now what these mean. It's good if you do this now, because then you will be more attentive when I explain what it means to be missing a number, right? Let me, okay. Sorry, that's mine. All right. Okay. All right. So if you have number one missing, in reality, when you have number one missing, it means that you are very loving in reality, because you're more into number one is, the innovative, the powerful, the, is the innovator, is the leader, right? Number one has a little problem with guiding because they're perfectionists, they are impatient, they want to do everything themselves, etc. So they have to learn how to be the good leader, as Tony Robbins says. That was wonderful. He said that a good leader is the one who calls his team and tells them, we want to achieve this goal, and let's see how are we going to do it. And then he asks everyone, and they brainstorm, they all take a seat, and then he allows them to be creative. A good leader is not someone who tells people what to do at all. He just gives the goal, and he gives the support to his team and inspiration to his team, right? So that's a number one. But a number one may turn very tyrannical if it is too much force. There is too much force. So if you're missing number one, you're missing a little bit your, driving force, your leadership. You're missing being selfish. You know what I mean? Caring about yourself too much. So you're very, very loving, and you always you tend to be giving your power to others. You need to develop leadership skills. Now, it's the opposite if you are missing number two. If you're missing number two, in reality, you're missing a little bit of cooperation. You're lacking cooperation, lacking sensitivity to other people's needs. Now, as pranic healers, perhaps, or as we grow older, perhaps we have developed a lot of that. Perhaps we're missing that. But karma is something that we solve, something that we neutralize, right? We change, we become better people. But and if you have ones, threes, and sixes, because they're all, also involved in work that is with others, you do understand other people's needs, but you tend to give them but not exactly what they want. You give people love, for example, but not the kind of love they want. You give them gifts, but not the gifts they want. You give them the attention. Perhaps you give them your time and energy, but it is not what they want. You're not so attuned to other people's needs if you're missing it too. And this is a lesson we have to learn if we're missing it too. Now, if you're missing a number three, this means that perhaps you're not, number three is really passionate. Number two is very submissive, sweet, feminine, etc. A very good partner in everything, in business and in love, and good with money. Number three is passionate, the person who is born to show others what they're, that there is magic in life, that there is meaning in life, that there is a divine plan for all. And they're passionate, they're loving. So if you're missing number three, you're missing your expressive self, you're missing a little bit of passionate speech, romance, or perhaps you don't have such a strong imagination. Number three is all those things. So there is some lacking there. Or perhaps number threes are very good hosts, hostesses. Perhaps you're not so good at receiving people or expressing yourself. You have to learn to express yourself. You have to learn to be more inspiring and inspired. If you're missing number four, you're lacking perhaps, a foundation of, you don't apply yourself to your work. And number 4 is worker, works a lot and is like the fuel of a whole family, is reliable, consistent. And number 4 loves academia. And number 4 loves the home. So if you're liking this number, you are perhaps, your success may come through others, and you do not really work as hard as you could. If you're missing number 5 is adventurous, loves to change, loves travel, marriage, loves marriage. And number 5 may change different countries, different cities, different homes many, many times, and they love to change, they love adventure. So if you're missing a number 5, it means you're not so adaptable. You don't love change as much. You may be afraid of crowds, of people, afraid to face life, to face the world, to try new things. And you need to focus on your talents. So this is what you need to cultivate. Cultivate your talents. Find what your talents are. And now, if you're, of course, with number 4, right, what you need to do is you need to be more reliable and consistent in your work. And if you're missing number 6, then number 6 is nurturing and very intuitive. So what you need to cultivate in reality is your intuition, but also you need to cultivate a sense of duty. If a person is missing a number 6, perhaps they don't feel like taking care of others, of animals, of people, cooking, nurturing, healing, perhaps they don't have such a strong sense of duty toward their parents. Perhaps their parents have been, and often life brings the circumstances for us to be challenged, right? Perhaps your parents have not been loving, have not been good to you, and you have plenty of excuses to not feel that it's your duty to take care of them. But whose duty is it? It's your duty. If they have not been good, it doesn't mean that you have to be the same. So it is our duty to care for our parents, even if they've been really bad to us, to care for them to a certain extent, right? Depending. To care for that they live, they survive, if we can help them. So now if number 7 is missing, 7 is the number of spirituality, of studiousness. It's aloof. It is refined. So if number 7 is missing, and it's a researcher, it's a person who loves research, is a thinker, analytical brains, abstract thinking, And if you're missing a 7, it means you're not looking into things very deeply, You're not being very analytical, which means you're usually more happy than the average human being. People who like 7 are usually happier than most. But, don't let this offend you if you're missing a number 7. You can always meditate and cultivate spirituality. There is all these are for this incarnation only. This is not you, right? These are the circumstances. I'm going to speak about that in a moment. Let me just describe what the numbers are. So number 8 is the number of the leader, the true leader. He has developed the Brahmic aspect. He's an intuitive leader, strong leader, a little bit of a bulldozer. Is not romantic, and it doesn't know so much about psychology and philosophy. It's not accepting that he may be, for example, harboring resentments or being not looking within, is a little bit more practical, but a very, very good leader knows what others need in a crisis. But so if we don't have number 7, it may mean that we are lacking in self-control, discipline. Perhaps we have more problems than the average human being, and perhaps that means we may have to be dependent on others. So what we need to do is to cultivate our discipline, self-control. And discipline we cultivate through our daily habits, right? Small things. we make a plan. This is what I do in my program. I help people make a plan, take out from their lives whatever they don't need, whatever is not good for them. Just make a simple plan that is going to build our spiritual muscles and in general our willpower to do good and to do good to ourselves as well, not only to others, to disintegrate all self-sabotage, right? We're here to be happy also. So if we have number nine is the humanitarian, the lover, the artist, is emotional, a little bit of a drama queen, but is very, very vibrates to the law. Number 9, they can be dramatic and they have to be careful of what they say because their speech is very, very, it's a manifesting principle. They manifest easily because they have a very high number. So if you have a number 9 missing, it means that you're lacking a little bit in compassion, in humanitarian interests. So this can be easily fixed by developing humanitarian interests and looking into other people's lives with compassion and trying to understand and that whatever, we are all the same. Like whatever happens to a person might happen to anyone, might happen to us. And if not in this incarnation, another incarnation. So this may be substituted by number 6 because number 6 is very, very nurturing, right? But if you are lacking number 9, this may limit your accomplishments. The way to balance this is to develop self-knowledge and study spiritual books in order to develop more spirituality and compassion and humanitarian interests, right? So this is what happens when you're missing a number. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Oh, we have a little time, yeah. This is a very short workshop. So the shortest workshop there is. You can ask whatever you want, but let me tell you first, I want to also tell you about my program because tomorrow is the last day for the early bird, and it's a great opportunity for whoever wants to take it. There's a 40% discount. So I want to tell you about my program, and by telling you about my program, you're going to understand more about arithmosophy and about what we can learn about ourselves. Now, Pythagoras brought this amazing system. He brought the numerals, right? He brought the numbers from 1 to 9. They didn't have numbers then. So he brought the numbers, but he also brought, he brought them from the East, but he also brought the meaning of the numbers, and he applied them to many, many sciences. So he was the founder of many sciences. I said earlier, if I start talking about Pythagoras, there's no way to complete this in less than 1 hour or 2 hours. But Pythagoras brought so many inventions, so many things, that all those Isaac Newton, Kepler, etc., they copied Pythagoras about the gravity, about the roundness of the earth, about the heliocentric system. He brought so many things. Pythagoras invented so many things that later others reinvented, and they gave credit to Pythagoras about this. So Pythagoras was a great scientist. He was not just someone saying things. He was like Christ, like the Buddha. He was a really incredible spiritual guru. And as I said earlier, he brought all the arhatic principles to the world. He brought purification, union with the soul. He brought inner reflection, all these techniques. So what he said is that we have a life path number, what we can learn in my program, all right? What we do is this. We learn our life path number. This shows us who we are, what our life will be like. Is it going to be a dynamic life? Is it going to be a life full of change? Is our life going to be a nurturing life? Everything, the numbers have their meaning, their basic meaning of the numbers is in the life path. But then this is not our purpose. What we seek to find is our purpose, and to remove inner obstacles so that we may find our true goals, because, our family, our friends, the movies, we ourselves have have been filled with false goals just because others expected something of us, just because we saw a nice movie and we thought, oh, it's so cool to be like this. It's not cool to be like myself. But we have to realize that we are all entirely unique. Each one of us, we cannot bring the same message in the same way to the world. Even if we bring the same exact message, we are going to bring it in our own unique way. And it's not only our aura that speaks in its own language, but everything in our arithmosophy is different. For example, we have our astrology, we have our soul's mission, which we may see through the labor of Hercules of our ascendant. So that shows our soul's mission, but our soul's mission may be simply, for example, to develop intuition, and not, for example, if your ascendant is Cancer, then your mission is to go from logic to intuition. That's just an example. That's our soul's mission. But then our soul, in order to succeed in that mission, creates an entire divine plan for us and circumstances through which we will be tested again and again and again and again in order to succeed in that mission, right? And then, so we have our life path, which is like the avenue in which we will be walking, the type of life we will have. Then we have our soul's number, which shows what our soul desires for us to do. Like, for example, I have a 5 life path, which is a happy-go-lucky, adventurous, traveling, etc., etc. But my soul number is 7, which means I love to study and I love to live a life of spirituality. That's my soul. So I may be changing, but I'm always changing toward the spiritual goal. And then there is our personality. And our personality is what we are here to develop. That's another number. So imagine we have so many numbers that no two people are the same. Our personality number shows what we are here to develop in order to place it in the service of our soul. And then we have our destiny, quote unquote. I don't like the word destiny. Anyway, our destiny number, which shows what we are here to do. It shows exactly what we are here to do. As a matter of fact, our full name, every letter of our names shows the quality of events and the duration of the events of our lives. So it is incredible what we can know from our name. And our destiny number shows, which comes from our full name, shows exactly that, shows what we are here to do. And you can see, for example, perhaps you grew up with in a family that they have a business, and this business is that, and you're supposed to take the business of the parents, but you're not. This is you're programmed. You cannot avoid it. You're like, of course, I have to take. Who else is going to take the business of the family? But you're entirely, somewhere else. That's not what you're here to do. This is possible, entirely possible. So through these workshops, you can find what you really want to do, because this isn't, we shouldn't throw away an entire incarnation without knowing ourselves and knowing our purpose. And we can change at any time. Even if we change at the age of 90, and we live a life that is fearless, that is spiritual, it is so much more precious than never having done that. Because people think that life is that after a certain age we get old, but this is the opposite, actually. As a matter of fact, we have another number, which is our attainment or maturity number. And in that number, we can see who will become after the age of 49. Because at the age of 49, when 7 times 7 years cycles close, and even the skull closes at that age. Did you know there was a little tiny hole here and it closes? The cave closes, at 49 years old, physically. So that, another set of qualities sets in our lives through a number. a new number that may be totally different than our life path, and we change. So this is a new added quality in order for us to succeed in our mission, in our destiny. And it's good to understand that as we age, instead of thinking, our society is thinking exactly the opposite way. Instead of thinking that, oh my God, when I was young, I had this and I had a home and a boyfriend and a husband and children and this, and I had work and money. And you're thinking that now time has passed and there is nothing to do. No, these are activities that are on the physical plane. They have happened, it's your activity, the need for activity. Some people go to a monastery, they don't need activity because they're very evolved, right? But it's better not to go to a monastery. It's better to live through the challenges of life. But what I'm saying is that after a certain age, when we do not have all that activity, then we can turn inwards, and then we can cultivate our soul connection and become more meditative and more spiritual. And in that environment, that inner environment, we can find inner peace and be happier. Because in too much activity, we cannot be too happy. What is important is that we are at peace and that we are happy, right? And then if you are inside, it doesn't matter where you are. If you go to, suddenly you make $1 billion and you have a mansion, you have a Ferrari and you have a Learjet, you're going to be the same person. You're going to carry this person. And if you have poverty consciousness, your Ferrari is going to pass in the street and people will feel that a little Fiat is passing. They're not even going to notice the Ferrari because it's your energy. So we live with that energy. This is the energy that we need to refine, right? So as we age, we have the opportunity to have a second life after age 49, and perhaps even a third life. We have perhaps many incarnations within this incarnation. So we are very, very lucky to be able to have a huge, important life rather than to have a life of activity and then retirement, right? We have an inner life. So after knowing ourselves, then we have our divine timing. Also, we may know our Pythagoras arrow, which shows our Pythagoras arrow shows our character, and we can assess character through it of other people very, very quickly and accurately through the Pythagoras arrow. And there's also some negative arrows, like some arrows missing, and that shows what we're here again to cultivate. And the arrows also symbolize karma. So this is another way to see karma. And again, after that, we can see our divine timing. And our divine timing is the following. We can see the positive forces, which means positive forces of a cycle means that, for example, you are number 5, full of change, etc., but your positive forces at that period of time is 8, number 8, which means you have these added responsibilities, this heavy 8, this, a lot of authority, etc., not romantic period of life. So we can see the positive forces and we can see the challenges and we can see how to neutralize the challenges. This is one of the workshops of divine timing. Another one is we can see our personal year, because there is a cycle of 9 and every year is there for us. We are supposed to do something in that year, right? Like, for example, I'm in a year 2 now. It's a year to slowly, last year, it was a year 1. I started new things, new projects, new ideas, everything. This is a year to spread, to make contacts, partnerships. Every year has its own rhythms and its own purpose. And we can only succeed in 1 year big time. And then all the other qualities, such as even at the year 5, we may just destroy whatever we have done and say, no, I want to do it from the beginning. I don't like it. It's a year of rebellion. All these qualities are important for us to succeed, to reap rewards. We need to have balance. We need to play. We need to love. We need to self-analyze. We need to take care of our family. We need to work. It's 1 year of work. Imagine 1/9 only of the energy we need to put in anything is work. The rest is balance. It's different qualities that we need to balance. And then after that, we may know our every year's events. I mean, when I first came in contact with Arithmosophy and I heard that we may know each year's events, this drove me crazy. I was like, this is not possible. This is not real, it cannot be. And yet it is exactly accurate. Now, how you will respond to the events, it is up to you, right? And for example, and if a year where the essence number of the events is 11, because that's a master number, and it's not, we don't keep the 2, but we keep the 11, is a year where you have to have some failures in order to understand, to become more considerate, and to be more aware of the needs of others. Now, this is what everyone who has a number 11 on that particular year will experience, but each will experience it in their own way, right? And you have to know what it is composed of, your 11, right? So you can know the other qualities of the year. It's amazing. This is really amazing. It's always accurate. And then we can know our labors, labor of Hercules, our mission, and see how it will more or less manifest in our lives. Get an idea on what our tasks and mission is in this life and what our soul's mission is, right? So these are the 9, the content of the 9 workshops, and each workshop has part of Arithmosophy, 1 hour, about 1 hour of workshop of Arithmosophy, and then there is half an hour in which we do energy work to remove inner obstacles, traumas, low self-esteem, self-sabotage, all negative energies possible, in order to be, full of our vision of what we want to do. In reality, what we do is we unclutter our lives from all false goals, and we are guided not to the billion-dollar deal, no, to what our heart really desires. Through visualizations, after the energy work, we do visualizations and we find our heart's desires, and then we energize them again. We energize them. We program ourselves. We program ourselves in order to follow these goals. Now, my students of this cycle, I'm going to do it for the 6th time, I think now. I've done it like 5 times already, this program, and everybody loves it. Everybody cries at the visualizations. There's always tears, and they say it's a huge shortcut. It's a huge shortcut because there's so much that we know about ourselves. Sometimes it makes perfect sense. What they, it's like the obvious. I'm telling them the obvious truth about themselves. And I'm not telling you what your purpose is. You find it on your own through these workshops. So that's what I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell you about the program because through the description of the program, you may understand what you can know through Arithmosophy. It is a spiritual science. It is not, something that is, it's not an intuitive thing. It's not something that is like pulling angelic cards, which may be accurate, but, depending on the angels and the moment that you invoke, or the purity of your soul. No, Arithmosophy is a spiritual science. It's numbers. Numbers are accurate. So if you want to take my program, I'm saying this because tomorrow is the last day of the early bird, right? You can go into evitamyriam.com and catch the early bird, and you can even form your own payment plan and take it. It starts on March 14th. It's twice a week, and I send recordings. And I help everyone do their own arithmosophy so that there are no mistakes. And in general, these are very, very full of love and inspiration sessions, because we do visualize and we enter, and it's like a meditation when you really see what your heart desires. We focus on that. Okay, so that was, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. We have, if you wish to sign out and or stay and, you know, stop your video and re-enter, or stay on. In 9 minutes, we will start the great invocation that we will do 3 times. It will take only maximum 10 minutes. I'm going to answer Hope just a moment. I saw you. So we will do the great invocation 3 times. It will not take more than 10 minutes. Perhaps it will take less, blessing the earth and blessing the areas that have been suffering immense disasters in the past month.